Welcome everyone to Beers with Jesus. Me and
Hello.
Carrie are here. I'm Todd of Todd's World fame. Carrie's
Hello,
here.
Todd. I'm here. I'm here
We're
in
doing
my
it on a Sunday afternoon this week,
Yep.
and I hit my Polish Pulaski days in Grand Rapids, which is
Woohoo!
always fun. They open up the Polish halls.
What did you eat?
I got the combination plate, which I always get, which has like kielbasa, pierogies, gołąbki, the
Glumpy.
kapustka, all the stuff. It's
Pushka.
fun.
Nice.
The girls came with us.
Yeah.
We
Listen to
pretended
some
to
polka
dance a
music.
little bit, which I have no idea how to dance. I'm like
Not
the
to polka music.
personification of Phil Collins song. I can't dance.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I can't dance. I haven't thought of that song in a long time. It's hilarious.
I play it. It's like my theme song. It
It's
is
great.
fun though. It was a good time.
So fun.
Still coming off the nail gun incident, so we'll see how my reading is today. If I start to sound like a Mormon, you know why?
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, if you haven't listened to news yesterday, go check it out.
Harry's gonna do the plugs today.
Todd told the whole story yesterday, but he got a nail gun dropped on his head from roof height.
Yeah, it was
While he
fun.
was not at roof height, he was on the ground.
Good
And
times.
good time. Fortunately, fortunately, he had, reasonable family members who said, "Yeah, you need to go get that checked out." And he's okay. But
They claim I'm fine.
they claim he's they claim he's fine. He's feeling a little out of sorts. Did
I
you
was in
drink the
church trying to say the word song and I kept saying thong.
Oh, no. Oh,
Just stupid
shoot.
things like that.
Oh, shoot. Are you, you do have a concussion?
Mild concussion, yes, is
Mild
what the doctor
concussion?
said.
Man, that's just great. I mean,
He said I
I
could go to
can,
sleep and I did.
okay.
So
And you slept again today,
I
and you
slept more today.
awakened. I love it.
So
Did you drink at all during
oh,
Pulaski days?
I certainly did.
What'd you
There
have?
was a
Was it good
100%
beer?
chance of alcohol today.
Yeah, I
I
feel
had
that.
just a couple regular beers at the first place, which we went to Laddie's, and then we went to the Polish Falcon because for some reason the polka band wasn't. It was supposed to be playing at Laddie's, and it
Oh,
wasn't playing.
oh.
And Laddie's is what's it called? Saint Lad. I can't even read it.
Ladislas.
There you go.
Oh, I've heard of that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that was called Laddie's. I didn't
And so then
connect
we
the
went to
dots.
Polish Falcons, which were right down the road, and the band was playing. That was fun. Had a Bloody Mary and another like big tall Polish beer to chase that down,
Okay, wait. You had beer, then you had a Bloody Mary.
and then more beer.
And you don't experience the beer before liquor curse?
No,
Yeah.
not with bloodies. I always have to chase the Bloody Mary with beer. I don't know. I
Okay.
just like it
Just
better that
works for
way.
you.
Yeah.
Your Bloody Mary has vodka in it?
It did. It had Tito's in this time, but it
Oh,
wasn't like a
Tito's
huge
is
one.
good.
Actually, when I walked in, the guy made it sound like they had these amazing Bloody Marys, and then I don't know if I was at the wrong level, but I just got like a regular little Bloody Mary.
Like, it was
It was
fine.
fine.
Yeah.
It was good. Church was good. My nephew got baptized. That was kind of cool. Congratulations, Cooper.
Congratulations. Yay.
Shout out to Cooper.
That's
So the whole
awesome.
family was there. That was fun.
That's cool. And you got to see the new baby
I
in the
got
family?
for a second. I
Okay.
We bolted before the
Oh.
message today
Oh,
because we
gotcha.
wanted to hit the Polish halls early.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any choice but to go to the 11 because Cooper was getting baptized. So
Yeah.
and I'm coming down. I started coming out with cold last night. So I
I'm
didn't
so
want to
sorry.
get like too close to the new baby and mom and you know what I mean, the whole thing.
Mm,
I just said hi quick and
got
didn't
it.
really hug anybody or anything because I didn't want to pass anything along.
That's true.
So
The baby. That was good thinking. I didn't even think of it when you said you got a cold.
look at me go.
So,
I'm all responsible.
even concussed, he's
Even
thinking of others.
concussed.
Well,
How was your weekend? You're
my
trying to put together
weekend
a TV cabinet?
yeah, I'm trying to put together a TV cabinet, and, I know that everyone listening, everyone, 100% of you are gonna think that I have screwed up, but I guarantee you one of the pieces is wrong.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be mirrored, and it's not. It's the same, and so I've written to the company, which, is gonna yield
You might get something.
0 results. Oh, I'm so frustrated. I really wanted to kinda, it was
What
the
did
thing
I
I wanted to
get?
get done today, It was
You
the
know,
thing I
I
wanted to get
ordered
done.
something when we moved. I think I ordered like a relatively inexpensive nightstand from like Amazon.
Yeah.
because our the newer size bedroom, we need smaller nightstands, fit the king
Yeah.
bed in, whatever. And
Nightstands are so expensive.
well, this wasn't super expensive. It was off, but
Okay.
I had to put it together off Amazon. So I mean,
Of course, yeah.
cheap China stuff.
Mhm.
And I thought it had a
Guilty.
wrong part, and I called them. And then I realized I did have the right part, and I was able to put the whole thing together, but I never heard anything back from that.
Oh, no, you figured
I'm
it
not
out
sure
on
if
your
I
own?
called or if I emailed, but whatever I did, I never heard anything back. So,
Well, I'm hoping to hear. I sent pictures, everything, I mean, and I had
but I've had better luck with other people when I've called, and they'll send stuff
okay.
right out, and so
I hope. I ordered it on Amazon, but I'm contacting the support number of the
right.
company, so I don't know how that's gonna jive. They're gonna be like, What's your order number?" And maybe like, "I ordered on Amazon." They're gonna be like, "Well, good luck." That's what I'm afraid
You
of.
would think they would stand by it.
Yeah. So,
Hopefully.
anyway, it's just put me in a mood. I was in a mood anyway, and this was gonna be my victory today, and now it's not.
What was Beers with Jesus or
The TV
the
cabinet
TV
was
cabinet?
going to be 'cause I 'cause putting stuff to it's not fun, but,
Yeah.
like, I tackled it, I was going about it, I was doing great, it's almost done. This is close.
Frustrating when
So,
things go like that.
it's frustrating, but I saw a great band last night, that was fun.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. Bold City Classics in Jacksonville, they're awesome, and I saw them a couple weeks ago and just great time.
My daughter Lauren's getting ready to have a show within about a
I
half hour. I don't know that I'm probably gonna make it today or not. I don't
If
know.
I were there, I would be going to see her tonight,
I usually make it to most of them,
like you
almost
said.
all of them, but
100% chance of alcohol today. 100%.
I got we got some bought the girls, well, Nikki and then the 3 girls that were with us, which were, Lauren, Kate, and Allie. I bought
Mhm.
them all, Pulaski Days T-shirts at Laddie's, and there was different ones they had, and one of them was like,
Ooh,
the weekend forecast was 100% chance of alcohol.
is that what one of them said?
So Nikki got that one and Kate got that one.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I want a picture of that shirt. That's great. I love that. So,
So
um,
here we are.
here we are. I just feel like I'm not ready for the weekend to be over. I need one more day.
Okay. Well, call in
Sorry.
sick tomorrow to work.
No, I'm just being whiny. I'm all right. Sorry. I know.
I don't
I've
feel like I gotta get back to work because I got this next weekend, which we're gonna be off next week, guys, by the
yeah,
way. My daughter's getting married next weekend, so I'm gonna take Friday off, and so I kinda wanna be able to get Monday through Thursday at least in, so
gotcha.
head injury or no,
I know. You just
we're
again,
storming in.
so responsible. All right.
So this week,
Yep.
we're on Acts 14.
I know. We finished 13. 13 was long.
You
We're
know,
on
we might just
14.
bust through the whole chapter today. It's
Okay.
not that long,
Okay.
like 28 verses.
I haven't done any homework, like,
I'm
to
shocked.
prepare.
I'm
Sorry.
shocked and appalled. This is
Todd's
like
always got
this
notes
is our
prepared.
Sunday show. I got everything
I
down,
know.
and Carrie just takes it in.
I'm sorry. I was a couple weeks
You're
ago, I was
always fabulous.
prepared. I don't know. Sorry. I'm just
You
being
don't even have to prepare. That's how amazing you are right out of the gate.
You are so nice, but okay.
Okay,
Very
I'm reading
generous.
this week.
If you're up to it, yeah, go
We'll
for
see
it.
how far I get through, if I pronounce the things right or not, if I can read.
Um,
I think I
yeah, I don't
can.
know. Do we have any, like, names or anything you need me to look Oh, you're
Oh,
good.
a
You're gonna
few.
be fine.
Okay. We are in 14. So we are in the middle of Paul and Barnabas's first
Okay.
missionary journey. They've been sent out. In fact, this chapter is going to close it out. We're going to find at the end of this chapter that
Oh,
they circle back to Antioch, where they
okay.
were kind of sent out from,
Mhm.
and kind of give their report on their first missionary journey.
Okay.
So let's start in 14:1. We are reading in the Message because, well, we always read out of the Message. It's the best.
It's Todd's
So
favorite.
I was in church today right before we got started, and I went and said hi to Pastor Daryl, and he was reading, some so-called Bible that isn't the Message. And I was
So
like, I bet
called.
you can't get anything out of that at all because it's not the Message.
Does he laugh?
Yeah.
Does he get your does he get your humor?
He gets me.
Okay.
Like that. What's that? Those Super Bowl commercials. He gets us.
Oh, That's right.
Remember
Jesus.
those?
Is it about Jesus?
Yeah,
Jesus gets us. He does, actually.
he does.
Yeah, I need to quit my whining today and just start praying because you know what?
There you go.
I start out the day, like, really strong that way, and I've just realized when you said that,
The
that
TV stand messed you all up.
it really did.
I
Satan
understand.
in that TV
It's real
stand.
annoying when you get into something like that, and then you're like, "This is not I can't even do this right."
I'm so frustrated.
And you already don't like doing that kinda thing.
Right, but I was
You
like,
know
"I'm
what I
doing
mean?
this." It was like, "I'm doing this," and then it just fell apart. It's alright.
Oh, well. Alright.
Jesus, he gets us.
He gets us. He
We'll be
gets
alright.
TV stands. 14:1 in
Alright.
Acts. When they got to Iconium, talking about Paul and Barnabas, when
Mhm.
they got to Iconium, they went as they always did to the meeting place of the Jews and gave their message. The message convinced both Jews and non-Jews, and not just a few either. But the unbelieving Jews worked up a whispering campaign against Paul and Barnabas,
Mm.
sowing mistrust and suspicion in the minds of the people in the street. The two apostles were there a long time, speaking freely, openly, and confidently as they presented the clear evidence of God's gifts, God corroborating their work with miracles and wonders. But then there was a split in public opinion, some siding with the Jews, some with the apostles. One day, learning that both the Jews and non Jews had been organized by their leaders to beat them up, in other versions like the NIV and whatever, it's going to talk about stoning.
Oh.
So the message is going to say beat them up, and my guess is in like common vernacular, maybe not everybody knows what stone means. Maybe they have a different understanding of the
You
word
think
stone,
so? I mean, there's a
but
big difference between stoning someone. I mean, they wouldn't
you would
stone
think
people
they'd
as
get the context.
but no, but I'm just saying, like, I know you're being funny, but, like, but stoning, was only used as a form of execution, right? They wouldn't stone someone just to injure them, or
Yeah,
would they?
generally not. It's kind of hard to
So I'm like, that feels
not a
like the
precise operation.
gosh, okay. So
Well, they
shoot.
weren't even authorized to, truthfully. The Romans
Okay,
wouldn't allow them. Anyway, we'll keep going.
okay.
Maybe if I can find my place again. I forgot where I completely
You
was.
were in 4 to
Openly,
7.
yeah, 4 to 7. Okay. One day, learning that both the Jews and non-Jews had been organized by their leaders to beat them up, they escaped as best they could to the next towns, Lycaonia, Lystra, Derbe, and that neighborhood. But then we're right back at it again, getting out the message. There was a man in Lystra who couldn't walk. He sat there crippled since the day of his birth. He heard Paul talking, and Paul, looking him in the eye, saw that he was ripe for God's work,
Hmm.
ready to believe. So he said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Up on your feet." The man was up in a flash, jumped up, and walked around as if he'd been walking all his life. When the crowd saw what Paul had done, they went wild, calling out in their Lycaonian dialect, "The gods have come down. These men are gods." They called Barnabas Zeus and Paul Hermes, since Paul did most of the speaking. The priest of the local Zeus shrine got up a parade. Bulls and banners and people lined right up to the gates, ready for the ritual of sacrifice. When Barnabas and Paul finally realized what was going on, they stopped them. Waving their arms, they interrupted the parade, calling out, "What do you think you're doing? We're not gods. We are men just like you. And we're here to bring you the message to persuade you to abandon these silly God superstitions and embrace God Himself, the
Mm.
living God. We don't make God, He makes us." And all their, whoa, whoa, whoa. Did I miss something?
Um,
What in the world is going on?
he makes us and awe. Yeah.
He makes us and all of this sky, earth, sea, and everything in them. In the generations before us, God let all the different nations go their own way. But even then, He didn't leave them without a clue, for He made a good creation, poured down rain, and gave bumper crops. When your bellies were full and your hearts happy, there was evidence of good beyond your doing. Talking fast and hard like this, they prevented them from carrying out the sacrifice that would have honored them as gods, but just barely. Then some Jews from Antioch and Iconium caught up with them and turned the fickle crowd against them. They beat Paul unconscious, dragged him outside the town, and left him for dead. But as the disciples gathered around him, he came to and got back up. He went back into town and the next day left with Barnabas for Derbe. After proclaiming the message in Derbe and establishing a strong core of disciples, they retraced their steps to Lystra, then Iconium, and then Antioch, putting grit in the lives of the disciples, urging them to stick with what they had begun to believe and not quit, making it clear to them that it wouldn't be easy. Anyone signing up for the kingdom of God has to go through plenty of hard times. Paul and Barnabas handpicked leaders in each church after praying their prayers. Okay, I need to read this right. After praying,
Oh.
their prayers intensified by fasting, they presented these new leaders to the master, to whom they had entrusted their lives. Working their way back through Pisidia, they came to Pamphylia and preached in Perga. Finally, they made it to Italia and caught a ship back to Antioch where it had all started. Launched by God's grace and now safely home by God's grace. A good piece of work. On arrival, they got the church together and reported on their trip, telling in detail how God had used them to throw the door of faith wide open so people of all nations could come streaming in. Then they settled down for a long, leisurely visit with the disciples.
Wow, good job.
Boom. Look at me go.
Even concussed,
No
you
nail
are
gun's
like,
going to take me out in the name of Jesus.
amen.
Pentecostal flair
Amen.
for you.
I love it.
So what do you think, Gary?
So
You're just hearing this for the first time.
I I am just hearing this. You did a great job reading it. Thank you so much. So you kind of gave us a little teaser last week about what was coming, but
I did?
you did. You said
Mm.
something about how they were going to face some opposition, but it's like, man, these people. It's interesting. Well, it's interesting how like it's always this deceptive, undermining kind of thing. Like it's this targeted, negative efforts by people by these non-believing Jews, for example. And it's not just someone saying, "Hey, like you know." We disagree. Can we talk about this or whatever? Or challenging their claims or even anything like that. It's not
No.
like civil debate. It's really let's do this. It's always this covert operation to really attack them.
Do you think that's because they sense um that their own position may not be that they may not be standing on that solid of ground compared to Paul and Barnabas. In other words, they can't just make the arguments and they're defensive. They're defensive of the systems that they've grown up in,
Right.
that they know that are all
Yeah.
they've ever known, that in their opinion defines their world.
Right.
You know
Well,
what
I
I
think
mean?
that they're confident in that, even if they don't have the arguments, but I'm guessing that they just see the enthusiasm growing.
And
The
just want to
people
take them
like
out.
yeah, and they're just like, we gotta like nip this in the bud. We have to be really like they're just really aggressive. But I think they just feel like that's the best way. So it's just always through this kind of underhanded, lying, deceitful
Well,
approach.
that the closer that God gets, I
Mhm.
guess, and we see this, I guess, the most in Jesus, which I guess we could say is the closest God got, becoming one of us, right, in the
Mhm.
incarnation. And the closer God gets, the more threatened worldly systems are.
Right.
Whether it's religious systems,
Mhm.
whether it's just secular systems, whatever it was, but you could see it all through Mark when we went through Mark that they were just threatened by Jesus. That's I mean, they nailed him to a cross and killed him.
Right.
They killed Stephen. They've killed James. I mean, and you know what I mean. In our day and age,
Yeah.
they just killed Charlie Kirk. Like there's a there's a the spirit of the age seems to not take very well to being challenged. Probably
Right.
because it knows it'll lose. But
Right. But it's funny, but I think like I don't think I mean, even though they feel threatened, I don't think that I think if they knew it was the truth threatening them, they would gravitate to the truth. But they're just so, like, consumed with wanting to maintain the status quo and maintain their power and their influence and the institution, like you said.
Well, problem
Um,
is for it to be the truth, they have to admit that they're wrong in some ways.
right.
That there's been
That's no good.
some error or that
Mhm.
they've missed it or whatever. That their
Mhm.
ancestors have missed it, whatever the
Mhm.
answer. And they don't wanna do
Yeah.
that. People don't like to admit they're wrong. They just
They really
don't.
don't. You
They're
know what?
not big fans at all.
We don't either. How are you at that? Like, in just everyday life? Not something huge and life-changing, but just, like, little things.
I
I don't
don't know.
know,
I
like
think I'm getting better. I
yeah,
try to yeah, I'm pretty much,
yeah.
like I had a whole plan that day Friday when I got hit by the nail gun. I had a whole plan to finish this thing we were finishing and I knew
Okay.
exactly pre nail gun whacking me in the cranium. I had a
Yeah.
clear view of how we were going to do it.
Okay.
And then afterward I was communicating it to the guy who works with me. It didn't come out quite so clearly.
Oh, no. I
And
bet it
I
didn't.
had to chalk it up to the nail gun. I said, I knew that problem was there
Yikes.
prior to, but it was later after I had, it was the next day or whatever.
Mhm.
And he was telling me that didn't work like you said it would. And I was like, yeah, I knew it wasn't going to work that way, but I didn't know it right then.
Shoot.
But yeah, I mean, I no, when we have,
Mhm.
I try to be decent about it and try to do it sooner rather than later. I'm not obviously perfect. We had something this last week where there was a powder puff game. Like my youngest daughter was in a powder puff game,
Oh,
and I
fun.
completely lost track of it. And I was
Oh,
working hard. My other daughter had car problem. It just the whole day had gone to crap. And then somebody reminded my wife Nikki about it at like 4, but she never told me. And so then I get a call like 7:15 and I was pissed. And I don't usually
oh,
get real
no.
pissed. And so I was kind of going off on her. I shouldn't have. And then later I had to apologize and whatever. And I try to do it sooner rather than later because
Yeah.
I was too hard on her. And I was just, it
Oh.
wasn't her fault. I just didn't, you know what I mean?
You were mad that you weren't told about the game.
I was a little, yeah, I felt like someone should
Yeah.
remind me. I'm out there working hard, getting hit in the skull by a nail gun.
Oh, no.
But so, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think it's easier if you keep shorter accounts, but that's
Mhm.
not what we're talking here we're talking about, like, your whole so, when
Right.
this
This
kinda
is
thing
bigger. I was just
happens, this is
curious.
like you're a Catholic and somebody
Mm.
comes at you and they start attacking Catholicism.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anytime that happens, it tends to make people defensive. They kinda get their back up a little bit, right?
Yep. That's true.
And so, even though I don't know that Paul's going about it like he's attacking Judaism, I think he's trying to show them the fulfillment of it, the truth, but they can't see it.
But also in his sermon, like you called it, like his sermon, was that just last week?
Mhm.
I mean
It was.
I mean, he keeps it real
He
in that
does.
sermon.
He does.
He isn't like, "Listen, you guys didn't know. You didn't know what you were doing."
Paul's
He's like,
not one to pussyfoot around.
"No, not at all." He was pretty blunt. He didn't attack them, but he was very honest about the events that led to Jesus's crucifixion,
And,
so
there's questions about this is if they took him out, first of all, the Jews weren't, oh, this isn't even Jews. I mean, there are Jews in here, but this is not, this is
okay.
a Gentile territory. It's kind of
Okay.
in Asia Minor. But they were not authorized. They couldn't just stone people. They couldn't just
Okay.
execute people. I mean, Rome
Right.
didn't let you do that, just like the Jews couldn't just crucify Jesus. They had
Okay.
to talk
No
Pilate into doing it.
vigilantism
Yeah. But there were
allowed?
times that the mob would just get out of control and they just do whatever. But it's questionable whether or not some people think that Paul might have actually risen from the dead in this. That when it says they left him for dead, that he may have been
Oh.
dead, or maybe he was
Is that
unconscious. Who
is that
knows?
kind of like, rabbit trail, like, studies?
Yeah, that would be
Theologians
yeah. And if you go
wonder.
through some of the other, like I said, some of the other translations will talk a little bit more about stoning. And then when you get into some of his epistles, he
Interesting.
talks about a couple different um out of the body type experiences, I guess, near death experiences, maybe you call them.
Oh,
And
okay,
this may have been one where he's
okay.
taken up to like the third heaven and he's shown things that he's not even allowed to. to utter, is I think what one of them, what one of the
Really?
translations says.
Interesting.
And so the idea is that maybe this is one of the times, but certainly
Mhm.
when you're left for when you're left for dead after that, you
Yeah.
don't pop back up and walk right back into town. So some
Right.
kind of miraculous thing happened with Paul after he already heals the guy, you
Yeah.
know?
I'm glad you addressed that because I did think that sounded unusual.
Um,
Um, okay,
but I
so
thought it was interesting that in spite of the opposition, so with
Mhm,
at the in that first area where they're at Iconium,
mhm,
initially they get some, people are coming on, and then in spite of the opposition, they stayed on a long time, as long as they
mhm.
could, as until the danger got too dangerous, basically.
Yeah,
They stayed on because they were confident in their message. They didn't. You see this kind of throughout with Paul and with Barnabas both, where they don't back down. I
yeah,
probably the disciples, Christian disciples in general, and that, you know what I mean, that we see
yeah.
in Acts, they didn't back down. They weren't,
Right.
what do you say, wilting violets or something? I feel like I'm messing that up. But
Oh, yeah, what is that? No, what is that? What is that from? Is that a biblical
no, it's just,
Oh, it's an
just
expression.
yeah, where people are just they kinda wilt in the sun or whatever, you know what I mean? Or some hardship comes up and they back
Right.
off. You don't get that with Paul, and you don't get that with Barnabas. That's
Yeah, definitely.
they're very confident in their message and in what they're doing, you know?
Yeah. Um, well, yeah, yeah, I think it is wilted violets. Very good.
Look at me go.
Wow.
Concussed and all.
This is great. Don't go do that again because
Yeah.
you're don't mess this up,
Well,
but
then the other thing
okay.
they do is that
Yep.
so the 2 apostles were there a long time speaking freely and openly,
Mhm.
confidently as they presented their clear evidence of God's gifts, and then God is working along with that. Again, we see this all the time. We see it with Jesus, we see it throughout Acts, where along with the proclamation of the gospel, God's corroborating evidence for the people, and the evidence is miraculous signs and wonders.
Mhm.
That's all through. It's all through the Gospels and it's all through Acts.
Right.
Now we tell ourselves that that stopped because we don't see it anymore, and I mean apparently it did, right?
Well,
Um,
maybe, but you and I have talked about that too. It's like there are miracles happening.
yeah, and I think God uses them for the same purpose. I think He
Mhm.
uses it to kind of corroborate His message to
Mhm.
people. That we even see those miracles in our own life. That
Right.
and He's usually reinforcing something that He's working on us in other areas, you know what I mean? Maybe in
Sure.
our Bible study or in our prayer, in our worship, whatever it is. God's working on us with something, but then we see something that happens that like that's a miracle. God's protecting us or whatever. God's healing us.
Right.
God's doing whatever.
Yeah.
And and I think that's an important part that people need to see the word of God. They need to see Jesus at work in their own life and in the lives of those around them.
Mhm.
And when we don't, we don't seem to have the power that they did. I mean, at least I
Yeah.
don't think. What do you think?
Well, do we have the power? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, well, or is it manifested as much? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
I'm not
No, I
saying that
think
one would think we could tap into the same God, right?
I think sure, absolutely. I think we could. I think we're not like I don't think we habitually behave that way like
Yeah.
today in 2025. I heard you had hands laid on you today.
Oh, yeah, your mom did mine. She's
She
so
was deep.
sweet. I
I
forgot what
know.
she was you know what? It's that
She was
concussed thing. When she said it, I was like, "Oh, yeah, that."
Oh, I don't was it
I'm
because
just a
of that?
little slow.
She's so funny. I think she was just doing it to be funny. I don't think she knew
No, I
about
know, but I
the
didn't
nail
pick up
gun.
on it right away, you know what I mean?
Oh, got it,
Usually I
got it.
would,
Yeah,
but, yeah, I
it's
didn't.
funny. I said, "I love that you did that. That's so funny." I do think we could tap into that if we really pursued that. I don't I mean, I don't know that we are all called to be
Miracle
miraculous
workers.
healers, sure,
Yeah.
like Paul just, healed this crippled man, um but I do think this. I think that if you go out every day looking for and keeping your eyes open for miraculous things happening and God working in the world around you, I think
You'll
you
see it.
absolutely see it.
Yeah,
So,
you're
that's
probably right.
kind of my take on it.
Maybe we don't have because we don't ask, right?
Mhm. I mean, I think if you just go look for it, it's there. I think stuff's happening all the time. Just like I think
Seek and
God's
you'll find, knock and the
Mhm.
door will open. Yeah.
Yeah. I think God's communicating with us all the time, and we just don't necessarily know it
And
because 'cause we're
maybe
not
the
paying
answer is
attention.
that a lot of us aren't out there sharing the gospel like they were. You know what I mean?
True.
It could
Yeah.
be,
I mean
and you do hear some of these kinds of stories when
Mhm.
you talk to like missionaries who are out in like,
Mhm.
other countries and whatever, and they're out there on the front lines all the time and they
Right.
see more miraculous signs and wonders than we do.
Yeah,
And
that could be.
maybe they're just grappling with it more. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They're tapping into it more because they're reaching out more and they're
Mhm.
bringing the message maybe more often than we do in our typical everyday lives.
Yeah. Do you think Beers with Jesus counts at all
Yeah.
as
Holy
sharing?
moly. Sorry.
Whoa! You just had, like, a sun flare.
I
I
got
know. You are
I got the
really,
sun
like
behind me and I was like, "Whoa."
did your shade fall the other day?
Yeah, it did. I put it back up though.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you are, like, illuminated from
It went
behind.
bang. I know.
Todd looks
Well,
like he
we're
has a halo right
we're
now.
going kinda late today, and so I've got the sun, like, directly behind me, and I haven't replaced it with good blinds that'll block it
That's
out like I
fine.
need to.
But, yeah, do you think Beers with Jesus counts at all for
Yes.
sharing the
I think if people just listen and touch the screen, they'll be healed. No, I'm just kidding.
I hope that's true,
I hope
honestly.
so
I
too.
really, really do. Um, okay, so what'd you think about the parade? I thought you were gonna
Well,
make a
what's
Catholic
interesting
joke
about
in the
that
middle of
well, yeah, I mean, there is
your
that. That's the low-hanging fruit.
not that Catholics worship Zeus or Hermes, but the
Just
parade
Mary.
made me laugh.
Um, well, no, they did have the parade, but you know what was interesting is that I always
Mm,
wondered, and it wasn't until I studied it out this week,
mhm.
where I began to understand that Greek was the common trade language. So
Okay,
you had the Roman Empire, and prior to that, you had Alexander the Great's Greek Empire,
okay,
and the he had made the difference between the two is that Alexander the Great had made Greek the language of the empire. But it was
okay,
the trade language. So, what that would mean was that it was the language it'd be like English kind of today. You can go to a
okay.
lot of countries and people do business and they can get enough English through to
Mhm.
do what they need to do.
Okay,
And that was what they dealt with in a lot of these towns, but they still had their local languages and their local customs. So what was happening here is Paul and Barnabas are communicating with these people in Greek. Well, when I think all this starts with the parade thing,
mhm.
they're going back and forth in their own language, and Paul and Barnabas don't know the language. And all
Okay.
this is starting to happen, and they're not sure what's going on. And when they finally figure it out,
Oh,
they're
that's,
like,
like, where the
"Hold
delay
on, this is not
Whoa, whoa. We understand what's happening here now.
right." And I did think that was interesting. There's before that the crippled guy,
Yeah.
the guy
Oh, yeah, yeah,
who's
yeah.
sitting there crippled. I really thought it was interesting
Mhm.
that he hears Paul talking, and Paul looking him at him in the eyes saw that he was ripe for God's work and ready to believe.
Mhm.
And I thought we have to go about gospel work alert and aware to who's ready. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
and probably that was the same with Jesus. In other words, probably Jesus is healing these people,
Mhm.
but it does require a certain amount of faith because remember when he goes back to his hometown in Nazareth, says he
Mhm.
couldn't do much because of their unbelief. He healed a couple people, but he couldn't do much because of their unbelief. So Paul's
Right.
looking out and he
'Cause
sees this.
they knew him as something else. They were like,
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" Okay.
And I wonder today if we don't run into the same thing. If part of the reason we don't see
Mhm.
God's corroborating work of miraculous signs and wonders is just because of unbelief. We've never seen it and don't really believe. We see it back here and we buy that, That's
Right.
part of the story, but we think that was for then. And I mean, maybe, I don't know. I,
Right.
I mean, maybe he
I mean,
didn't.
there are miracles that have happened.
Sure, but we don't look for them.
No.
Sometimes I wonder if we even have enough belief to ask for them. You know
Mm,
what I mean?
yeah. Well, I
It can be
mean,
hard sometimes to
I was gonna say
believe.
you have. I know you've prayed for miracles.
I have seen some and not seen some,
Sure.
and it cuts both ways.
Mhm. Right.
After going through what I went through with my mom, where she died of cancer at 52,
Mhm.
she's diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and nothing touches it. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't like a cancer journey where you get some ups and downs or what. It was just nothing ever
Yeah.
touched it, and then she ended up dying 9 months later. And yeah, I don't think that definitely planted some seeds of unbelief in my heart that I think
Sure.
manifested later on. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that it can push us into times of and it has a lot to do with where we're at. Like, are we ready? Are we ripe for what God wants to do in our life, or are we not?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But then there's another level to that, where if you're ministering like Paul is, like Paul and
Yep.
Barnabas are, you're alert and aware to enough to where it's not just that they're ripe for God to work through them, but
Mhm.
they're looking at the people and they can recognize the people who
Mhm.
have the belief and are ripe for God to work in their lives.
Right.
And that, I think, is what's maybe what we lack. It's just hard. It's
Right.
hard in this time. It's hard in a materialistic age, in an age ruled and governed by science. I think
Yes.
probably to a bad degree. Um and yet we just think, well, that's just life. I mean, the reason we're materialistic is because that's how everything is.
Yeah, and I don't even think that the science that we're inundated with, like, kind of that we're surrounded by is necessarily anti, um, God. It's just that it's just worldly.
Yeah.
We are, you know, we are told we're not of this world,
Mhm.
but we're in this world. So we just get overwhelmed, and I think it's really, really tough not to be taken in by the world that we live in. Like
What's really hard, I've been thinking about this analogy lately and working through it, but
mhm,
I haven't got there all the way.
mhm,
But it's like looking at a forest. And so we have a forest, and when you're in the middle of a forest, when you're looking out over a forest, if you're up over top
mhm.
of it on, a mountain or on a hill or whatever, there's this sense of grandeur and of just I think that's what God's talking about, or that's what Paul's talking about when he said that people weren't left without any clue at all because they had this amazing creation out there. And there's
Okay.
these times where we see creation in certain lights and it's at certain
Mhm.
views, and it just overwhelms us, and we know that we're not that there's something else out there. God's
Yeah.
trying to talk to us through that.
I
But
love
I
those
I
moments.
think what happens is you take that forest and you talk about people who lose the forest for the trees. Well,
Yes.
that's compounded when you begin to number all the trees, to harvest all the trees, to turn all the trees into boards, and suddenly everything that made that a forest, you've lost
Yeah.
in the midst of trying to utilize it and trying to transform it to meet our needs. Does that make some
Mhm.
sense?
Yes. Yeah. And again, I think that's the difference between, like, I mean, you're contrasting the taking in and the appreciation and recognition of God's creation versus our worldly needs and how do we survive and
Yeah.
function and, manufacture furniture parts that are wrong.
It's easy to wake up and have your coffee and read the Bible and be in a spirit of prayer, and then when you're in the midst of
Yeah.
putting together a TV stand that isn't right, it
You
kinda hurt.
forget it all. You forget it all. But no, I mean, you know what? Like you just said, every day you get up, you have your coffee, you read the Bible, you have a
Mhm.
devotional, and then you're driving to work. And if traffic sucks and some jerk is like, slow in
We're
the passing lane,
immediately pulled out of
I know
it.
it's really tough. It's really tough.
It's really hard. It is hard, and I think that's cultivating
Yeah.
a spirit of now, part of the way that you fight that, I think, is with devotions, discipline type in the morning.
Right.
You get in the Bible,
Yes.
you get some prayer, you get because it seems like we need it every day. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Once a week
it's
is
not
definitely
perfect.
not enough.
It's not
Yeah.
perfect, like, we still can lose it and we still but
Yep.
we need to continually be planting seeds
Mhm.
to counteract all of the worldly seeds that we're surrounded by every day.
Right.
Maybe. Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh, yeah. We absolutely do. It's kind of like if you have a house plant that needs watering once a week, lucky you,
Most don't.
our our faithful like our faithfulness seeds are that discipline, the fortitude that's required really to live like the best way. I think, yeah, it needs it every day. Probably needs it multiple times a day.
I agree. And I think that the biggest thing is maybe the biggest thing we can do is cultivate an active sense of gratitude. It's
Sure.
thanking God for opportunities, even when they're
Yeah.
opportunities that we don't necessarily want. Like thanking Him for the opportunities, but also recognizing the good things and just having that
Mhm.
spirit. Because the more that you do that, the more you're kind of turning that inward part of you back toward God who
Yeah.
made it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Totally. I
Um,
just saw this, TikTok and whatever. This is like a video but it was actually really beautiful. I saw it today. And it showed like beautiful like I thought of it when you talked about the forest, seeing it from like kind of like an aerial view.
yeah.
It showed a forest and the ocean and mountains and the words on the screen basically said, "The isn't it amazing that the God who created like all of this, the stars in the sky and the mountains and the whole earth thought it was important enough to create you and add you to it," or something like that, and it was like,
Well,
it's
and
pretty
that's
crazy.
it's kinda what they say, when they're like, when their message when they're being told they're gods and they're like, "Wait a minute, we're not gods."
Right.
Where they're trying to get them to abandon these silly god superstitions and embrace God himself, the living
Mhm.
God. We don't make God, God made us.
Yep.
That seems to be real foundational. That
Mhm.
may be part of where our materialistic society has gone extremely
Ah.
wrong is
Oh,
with the insistence on looking for some kind of an origin other than God. So what we wanna think is
sure.
well, maybe there was evolution, maybe we've been here, maybe there's this idea of God out there, I don't know. I don't think you can have both. Either God made you and made
Mhm.
everything around us and made me, or he didn't. And if he didn't, he's not God. I mean, I
Right.
think that's pretty basic.
Mhm.
But that's a step that it's a tough one for people growing up in a society like we grew up in.
Well, I really like you connecting those dots there, saying that, yeah, saying, shoot, I lost it, how you just said it.
Who just got hit with a nail
Oh, you were talking
gun?
sorry. This is not nail gun injury, this is being tired and drinking, but no, it
Spears
what
of
you
Jesus, that's what we gotta do.
I know, right?
We've all got
Cheers,
our trials.
cheers. Um, no, what I like how you connected the dots saying um, that in our materialistic world, that we have a hard time, not trying to make God into something else than what he is. I really
I think we do.
that isn't exactly how you said it, but I think that makes a lot of sense.
And then the other temptation is that we wanna
Mhm.
make man, other men even,
Yeah.
as gods. That's what they did
Oh, yeah.
with Paul and Barnabas. They they're
Right.
they wanna make him
Oh,
and I
yeah.
thought about that, and I thought, that's a temptation that's common to man too.
Very. I'm so glad you brought that up. Um,
Um, you
yeah,
could
with
take it I think there's been some of that with what's happened with Charlie Kirk. And
sure.
listen, we've gone through the whole Charlie Kirk thing. If you wanna listen to it, go back to news, whatever, we've got a whole episode
Right, a
on it.
couple of weeks ago on news, we talked about it, but
But the
yeah.
danger is
Yeah.
that in fact, I was reading this, I might have sent you that this week. Did I send you that? I read a C.S. Lewis devotional every day in addition to Spurgeon and then the
Was
Bible.
it the Grief
And it was the
Observed
grief
one that you
observed
sent
and
me?
it was how
Oh,
all
it
of
was
reality
so
is
good.
iconoclastic. God
Okay.
is constantly shattering the images of even himself that we've built up.
Mm.
And it requires that shattering because otherwise those images become holy to us rather than God.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean.
And some faith traditions are more prone to it than others.
He said with a smirk, generously holding his tongue. No, I know what you mean, but you're absolutely right. So, I'm gonna give an example, and I know the Mary thing, you're not comfortable with the Mary thing, but
Don't go to Mary.
we don't pray to Mary. We don't worship Mary. We venerate
You
her. We
haul her
honor her,
around
but
in parades.
we do holler around in parades sometimes. But it's like for special occasions, whatever. She's not God. However, I know that like you can go and light a prayer candle at the end of Catholic Mass.
Mhm.
Go light a candle, and there's a statue of Mary there, and you can kneel, you can say your prayers, and what it is and it's not that the candles have anything to do with Mary, they have to do with your intentions that you're praying for,
Mhm.
but I've seen many people, especially, like, particular cultures that we have here in Jacksonville,
Okay.
I will see them, so it must be a tradition.
Illegal aliens. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
It's a different that's news. Sorry, guys.
that's news, go listen to that yesterday. But no, they will touch the statue when they leave,
Yeah.
and it's kinda like I think it's like a respect thing. I think it's showing like this kind of I think it's like kind of affectionate and respectful, but I know that that line is a very fine line.
Oh, it is. I've seen it. I grew up with people who were like they got into the King James only thing. So the only Bible in the world,
Okay.
we know it's the Message. They got mixed up and thought it was the King James. So, but they venerated this translation of the
The
Bible.
translation.
And nobody
Interesting.
else, no other Bible was right. Everything is judged by this version of the Bible. And that's just one thing.
Mhm.
In every different faith tradition, you're
Yeah,
going to have these things
those
and we
things.
always tend to build them up. We always tend to take these vessels or whatever they are that we've seen God use or
Right.
that we've kind of these images that we've created
Mhm.
for God and we lift them up and God is constantly shattering those. In the Grief Observed, the one I sent you, what he's
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about specifically in addition to that is how his wife has died. And so he's struggling through that throughout the book.
Mhm.
And that's why it's called A Grief Observed. We're observing his journey through grief.
Mhm.
And he says that reality is iconoclastic. Like immediately he wants to start building up these images of what would H do. He calls his wife H throughout the book.
Age.
And he says 2 seconds of the reality would blow all of that to smithereens, and that's what he wants is the reality. But we have a tendency to
Wait,
go
who
after
wants
whatever
the
we can get.
reality? God wants
CS.
the
Well,
reality?
no,
CS
CS
wants the
wants the
reality.
reality,
Okay.
but it's these images that are all that he has left, and it doesn't matter if they're images that are like statues or if they're images we
Mhm.
create in our mind. It's the
Yes,
same thing,
it
which is
is.
God has to shatter reality, God has to shatter those every so often.
Right.
And that shattering maybe can be painful sometimes,
Mhm.
otherwise I don't think we'd get it. But,
I agree. So this whole thing really seems it's funny, it's just one little piece of it, but it really seems to be this material versus godly.
spiritual,
Let's call it
yeah,
God. I was gonna say I don't even want to say spiritual because I feel like specifically here it's godly
it
because
is.
they're talking about the one true God. So I feel like that's what this is all about. And you know what? I mean, you can gosh, you can just see that everywhere. Like you said, the way we are and let's just speak secularly.
Mhm.
In our world today, we idolize celebrities,
Oh, for
athletes.
sure.
Oh my gosh,
About
it's so
anything we
crazy.
can, we idolize.
I know, we really do. Even pastors. I just saw this on
Oh,
another video. I don't
100%.
yeah, I don't even know who this woman was, but I just watched it's a pastor in town who I know.
Okay.
He's like a youth pastor in town, and we've crossed paths. I follow him on social media. And he posted this video of a woman talking, and she said, "You need to be in the Word. You need to be in the Word of God." She says, "If you place your pastor or preacher over the actual Word of God," she says, "how are you going to recognize if he ever says anything that
Error.
conflicts Yeah, conflicts with the
Yeah,
word of God. And so it's kind of the same thing. It's like you really need to boil it down to the message here
yeah,
that you're talking about.
yeah, and Paul, and Barnabas finally get that
Mhm.
through to him for the most part, I
Yeah.
think. So, they
They must have been
prevented
so
that,
confused. They were
and
like,
then
"Woo."
right away, Paul gets stoned almost to death, or
Oh
to
my
death, we don't
gosh.
know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Pops
that's
back up, goes
interesting.
back into town. Why does he go back into town, then leave the next day? Maybe as just kinda like, I mean, we're all the body of Christ, and I always think God must have a middle finger, right? Like, Paul must have just been like, "Think you can knock me out that easy?" I
That's
don't think
funny.
so. And then they left. And then they go on.
Mhm,
The other interesting part is that
mhm.
after proclaiming the message in these various cities, they go back through
Right. They
and it
retrace their steps back.
they retrace their steps back, and it says they start to put grit in the lives of the disciples. Such a great
That's a
message.
that
Eugene
is such a
Peterson.
great line.
Urging them to stick with what they had begun to believe and not quit, making it clear to them it wouldn't be easy. Anyone signing up for the kingdom of God has to go through plenty of hard times. And so if they feel the need to go back through these towns to put grit to urge these people not to quit, there
Mhm.
must have been a fair amount of people who kind of felt like quitting. Like it got kind of hard after they
Right. I mean,
accepted
do you
Jesus.
like, we like when we're telling these stories, we're walking through the stories, as you
Yeah,
say. Um, it's really easy to imagine that Paul and Barnabas come, the crowd's listening, they're all fired up, they're excited, and then Paul and Barnabas leave, go to
right.
the next town. And after they're gone, you can imagine just being like, well, that was cool.
You're
But if
kind of
it's a
starting to come
whole,
off the high,
yes,
right?
the novelty has passed because you don't have
Like,
them preaching right there in front of you, keeping you all revved up.
yeah.
So,
And then real life sets in. Then you got to put
right.
together a TV stand.
I feel attacked. But yes, yes,
But for real, real life sets in. Maybe
real
your
life sets
family
in.
starts to give you a hard time about
Right.
why are you believing in this new God? We've got everything going
Yeah,
on over here. Why can't he just be one more of the gods that we already worship?
sure. Yeah, everything's different. Or like your neighbor who, like, didn't get to hear Paul and Barnabas speak is
Right.
like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah, and all these things start to eat away at the resolve that they once had.
Yeah,
And so it's that grit. I love that
I
word
love that
because
too.
I think a lot of Christianity, a lot of our walk with God comes down to developing and using that grit. You know what I mean? That
Mhm.
he's building our faith, but when he's building our faith, he's building our faith into something that can withstand the trials he's going to send against us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and it takes I'm telling you, hell, you and I both know, it
Mhm.
takes grit to make it through life and try to maintain perspective and be faithful and keep focused on the right things.
Oh, it does.
It takes like the grittiest grit you've got.
Yeah. We always expect
Um,
things, I say this, we
mhm.
always expect everything to be faster and easier than it is. And it's always slower and it's always harder, just
That
across the board.
that is fair, and I'm really sorry to say that that's, like, so freaking true.
And
We
it's
want it
not
to
only
be
the thing is
faster
it's
and
not
easier
only
as it is.
Christianity, that's life in general.
Yeah.
And we're always looking for, this quick thing, this quick, you look at, like, I think if you're a young girl today and you could make $40 million on OnlyFans, man, that's a hell of a temptation that no young girls had 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
how do you, but at the same time, because of AI, that's all going to disappear in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
But
true.
my point is we have this instant gratification society where everybody wants to get there. They want to get TikTok famous, and they don't want any of the any of the hard work that goes into it. All they want to be is famous, maybe.
I know, it's
It's
such
a
a weird
weird world,
desire.
but it's in a lot of us. I mean, you can see it in social media. Social media wouldn't be nearly as pervasive if that wasn't the case.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Right.
I think it takes that's not real life, I guess is my point.
Right. True. Well,
That's
it's not
not
a real life of substance of any kind.
right.
It's not grounded in
Not even how
anything.
you
It's
build a business. It's not how you build any it's not
right.
how you build a relationship. You
Exactly.
can't
You're
build
right.
a you're not building relationships on OnlyFans, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
And so it's just it's not the same thing, but it's a parody of it.
Mhm.
And that parody sometimes people it's enough because it's quick. It's like it's like fast food. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And you
Got
don't
it.
have time for the real thing, and so, or you don't wanna
Mhm.
take the time or whatever. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's interesting, but and then they go all the way back. It's also interesting when it says, "After praying, their prayers intensified by fasting."
Mhm.
Um, Clearly, there's something to fasting. I That's something I don't do a ton of, honestly. It's not a discipline that I've spent a lot of time working on.
So
Um
I have a friend here. This is years ago, but we talked about fasting and she said that it was like a whole like a theme that they had in her church for a while. It was a Methodist church at the time.
Oh,
It's gone through a lot since then.
yeah.
Methodist church, has gone through a big split
Yeah,
and
there's a
whatever,
big,
but
huge split between the
yeah.
globals and whatever.
But years ago, they talked about fasting, and I asked her about it, and she said now I know, old school Catholics will fast before communion. Like, they're not
Oh,
supposed
okay.
to eat anything before communion, but that's before my time. I heard about that, but we were never asked to do that.
Is that
Like, we
part
were
of why
never
they
told.
had mass so early and every day?
It could be, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know.
That could be. Um, but I think that's why, like, my mom said she would, like, faint in church sometimes
Oh, wow.
because they fasted before church. Anyway, but I asked her about it, and she said and I can't remember the details, but she said what you just said. There's something to fasting. There's something about depriving yourself so that you are replacing, like, you distract your hunger with prayer.
Mhm.
If you are feeling hungry, I mean, if you're really, really hungry, Snickers has a whole ad campaign
Yeah,
about it. Like, nothing's the same while you're hungry.
right.
But if you can
Angry.
focus hangry, if you can focus that into prayer, that there's something about depriving yourself and then kind of overcoming it with prayer that she said was very powerful. And she people in her church did it like intentionally for a while. It was pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
I think there's something to that. I mean, Jesus, when he was going into his temptation, fasted 40 days.
Right.
So, um, I also love at the end of this how
Mhm.
he says, "Finally, they made it back where it all started. Launched by God's grace and now safely home by God's grace. A good piece of work." Like, that's almost like what you would hope you think of, like, on Heaven's Shore or whatever, and, like, that's what you
Mhm.
hope for, that "Well done, good and faithful servant." It's just
Exactly.
if we were launched by God's grace and we get home by God's grace and he
Mhm.
says, "Man, that life was a good piece of work." You know what I mean? Like,
Totally. When you read it, I could tell you loved it, and it felt like this beautiful bookend to the
"Oh, I
mission
love
trip
it."
that they had. Yeah, it was beautiful.
And then they report to the church that sent them. But the very last sentence I love too, because it says, "Then they settled down for a long, leisurely visit with the disciples." Because it's talking about how there's gonna be plenty of hard times, and you've gotta have grit, you gotta have all these things.
Yeah.
Paul's stoned almost to death, but it's not all suffering. It's not all hard times. There's rest, there's
Mhm.
fellowship, there's
Right.
love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
There's
the other
there's
side
God's
of it.
grace and there's
It's not there's
yeah.
seasons. Those seasons of suffering, those seasons of
Yeah.
loss, those seasons of failure, they're they are seasons to be passed through, but they're not destinations to camp out at. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It
Yeah.
can get mixed up with grief that way too sometimes. But
Yeah, totally. That's true.
there is rest. There
Mhm.
is on the other side of that where God's like, "See if you'd have just let go a little earlier, like I had all this set."
Right. I had this figured out for you. Um, yeah. That's, um, that's beautiful. You're
And
right.
this was the first missionary journey of Paul and Barnabas. We made it through.
We
Had pretty good
did.
time, I think. Really, look at us go. We're
Well,
flying
oh,
through Acts compared to
are we
Mark.
Mark? Mark was a little laborious for the listeners, but, we meant well. It's
Well,
good,
it was
though.
just a
It's
lot
cool.
in there. I think we did. a
It
good
was.
job, but
We were also learning. We were kinda picking apart every
did I
sentence.
miss anything?
I'm trying to think, I thought there was one thing. You got that line. I wanna make sure we talked about the grit and the good piece of work. I thought there was something else. Nope, you talked about going back through the cities. Yeah, I just thought it was really cool. So, I'm gonna pray for grit this week.
Yeah. Remember, that's what God's developing, right?
Yeah, I sound like a whiny baby today. Forgive me, everyone.
We've been kinda been through it this year, to be fair.
Yeah, that's whatever.
I would say
I'll
God's
be
building some grit in you.
I'll be grittier. I'll be grittier tomorrow. Maybe even tonight. I feel a little encouraged after this. I was really looking forward to this because I was in such a mood. I was like, "You know what? I'm probably gonna feel better after beers with
Good.
Jesus." So,
And I was just exhausted. I came home from Pulaski Days and
yeah,
crashed, and then I thought,
crashed.
"I
I
gotta do
texted
beers with
listen,
Jesus, holy cow."
I texted the president of Todd's World and said, "Hello, it's almost 5 o'clock. Are you back yet?"
I honest to God, and I remembered earlier because we got home and Lauren had a gig, and I said, "Well, I gotta do beers with Jesus tonight, so I may not make it."
Yeah,
And then I took a nap
just
and I
crashed.
lost it.
That's beautiful. Oh,
All right, guys.
so
Thank
I'm
you for
glad you're home.
joining us this week. Carrie, thanks for being here.
Thank
Catch news
you.
catch news if you haven't. We release news every the Wildly Opinionated News Hour is every Tuesday. Beers with Jesus is every Wednesday.
Yeah. It was a good
Subscribe.
episode yesterday, I thought.
I thought it was great. Subscribe
Yeah.
if you haven't.
Mhm.
You my books are on Amazon under
The
Todd
books
Allen.
are good. The books are great.
Todsworld.net. We have some
Check them out.
merch. So yeah, it's good.
The merch is fun. Definitely good conversation starters in the merch. Like, go buy a t-shirt, wear it out. Tell you, I
What
wear
was
that
that
beer
new one you wanted me to do?
Oh, I wrote it
Wildly
down.
skeptical optimism.
Wildly skeptical optimism at Todd's World. That's,
There is
for
some
the
of
news
that.
hour for sure. No, I wear the Beers with Jesus t-shirt out sometimes,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I love most people don't ask, but people look and they're like, "The wheels are turning." Like,
Yeah.
"Beers with
And some
Jesus,
people
what is
do
that?"
ask. I know, it's
They
great.
do. Yeah, I love it.
All right, Carrie. All right, guys, we are off next week. We'll be back
That's
after
right.
we'll be rolling till probably Thanksgiving. Or maybe Carrie
Happy
has something else going on this October.
happy wedding festivities next
Yeah, it should
weekend.
be fun.
Yay!
I'm excited.
I wish I was gonna be there, sorry.
That's okay.
So
I
much travel
know.
this year that did not work out. The timing didn't work out,
That's okay.
but
We'll be thinking of you.
I'll be there in spirit. All
All
right.
right, guys.
So,
Thanks for
yeah,
joining us. We'll catch you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Go listen next week to something you've missed.
Yeah. I'm sure that there's tons out there. Go
There's
start
tons there's
Insurrection or
lots
Witness.
of Mark. There's Insurrection, there's Witness. There's so much to choose from.
Sunday
Yeah.
show, short
Oh my
stories
gosh.
out there.
Yeah, go listen to the Sunday show.
All
It's
right,
fun.
guys. We're out of here. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Gary. We will
Thank
be
you.
back in 2 weeks.
See
All
you
right.
then.